Yeah, there's a lot of goofiness in these movies. Like, you know, I'm just there for the ride, you know.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that scene in The Other Guys where The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. No, Samuel L. Jackson.
No, Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah.
They decide like they're gonna jump out of a building, all action movie style. And I don't just crash into the floor and die.
There have been very few things that I've laughed that hard at in a movie. When they just hit and blood's everywhere.
Yes.
I'm like, I could not stop laughing.
They're like, "What do you think, man? You think we can make it?" Yeah, I think
aim for the bushes.
Aim for the bushes, man. Boom. And like that scene where when Quill jumps out, I totally was like, in another movie, he'd be totally dead.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Connington, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, brought to you by PETA.
It's not as good as the second time around.
Nah, well, no. we should tell everybody. Yeah, it's the second.
This is the second time around because I had the bright idea because I'm currently working on a video for Libsyn that all goes over how to record your podcast using video and, you know, some techniques for it. So this is one of those rare instances where John's on camera and I'm on camera. So that's kind of weird. Hi. I may actually put this up on YouTube. I kind of lied. Told you I wouldn't do that. I think I'm going to. But anyway, who cares? Anyway, yeah, we're on episode 272. And before we jump into our movie, talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I do have a little bit of news. So we're on, we're recording this on June 4th, 2023. So in the future, people who find this, great job. But anyway, what happened today, I did not foresee when we started this podcast. And that was that we reached 100,000 downloads.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yes.
That's right. John, what's your thoughts on reaching 100,000?
Well, in fairness, 99,000 of that was me. I listen to the show and repeat.
Really?
Because I'm lonely. Yeah, when we're not here, that's all I do.
You weren't just like, I mean, I figured you would have been like, I bought a click farm and just had 100,000 people who were just, you know, listen to every episode. We had one person. I want to make sure I get their name. Yeah, we had one person who reached out and said, John Churchill, fan of the show. He said something to the effect of, a lot of that was our Neil Breen audience, like people listening to our Neil Breen episodes on repeat. I'm not entirely sure he's incorrect on that one, and I wouldn't be surprised.
If you see Neil Breen, you need group therapy. You need to hear other people and like what they've gone through.
Yeah, it is. It's a thing. It's a thing. I mean, especially the last one we did, man. That was rough. Yeah. Rough beyond compare. But yeah, 100,000 downloads.
That's insane.
It's insane. I never would have thought that we would have reached this many. One, gone this far, and two, that we hit that. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, we have been listened to in just about every country across the globe, and you know we're not the biggest podcast out there when it comes to movies, but that's okay. You know, 100,000. I never would have thought we would have reached that. So, you know, I said this on Instagram, I said this on Facebook, and sure as hell we'll probably say this on TikTok, but thank you to everyone who has ever listened to one of our episodes. If you've ever shared one of our episodes, if you've ever laughed at some of our commentary, if you've hated us, I appreciate you too. Right, John? Yeah. We appreciate the haters.
You still listen. You still download. You
still listen. And I mean, I got an emotional response out of you. But if you took the time to listen, if you took the time to share, if you took the time to even just, you know, talk about this podcast with your friends and your family, and that you've supported us. And the people who have come onto the podcast, you know, and you know, this includes, you know, when we had Lane on. Lane was a fundamental part of this podcast. Every guest we've had on, every filmmaker that we've met since 2016 because of this podcast. Thank you to all of you, because there's no way in hell that we would have had the drive to keep going if it wasn't for people like you who continually suggest movies, who listen to us, who say they love our shows. There was one person who's on our Discord channel who literally said that they were re-listening to our old episodes, that they listened to the show for so long they decided to go back and listen to our old stuff. So people like that, I really got to say this before we jump into the review. Thank you. It really means a lot. I never would have thought we would have reached 100,000, and here's to 100,000 more.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. No one heard you say that because you just moved the microphone away from your mouth.
What are you talking about, Brian? I don't know what you mean.
You asshole. So now for the lovey-dovey stuff. Let's talk about some Guardians. So first of all, I got to say, this was not our original movie we were going to review. Okay, so I put out a poll on Twitter, and I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that, but I put out a poll on Twitter a couple days ago, and I'd said what movie we wanted to cover next. I didn't think anyone was going to pick Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 just because it had been out already. And to be perfectly honest with you, as I am a gigantic horror fan, I was really chomping at the bit to talk about Evil Dead Rise. John, what about you?
I mean, I could have gone either way, but I was thinking
you
when you
politician bastard.
Any hole for me, really. No,
Any hole for
but
you.
no, yeah, no, but I think the fact that we did the second film, because the first one came out before we had a podcast.
It had come out. I don't think we covered it. I think that was the big deal. Is it had come out, but I don't think we had covered it yet.
Well, since we had done the second one, I feel like we kind of owed it to, you know,
we had to be a completionist.
Wrap it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, is this really the end?
Depends on how much money and contracts. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Money and contracts.
Money and contracts. But I thought that we were going to be doing Evil Dead Rise, and I was prepared for it. But sure enough, someone decided at the last minute to vote for Guardians 3, and so here we are. It's okay, though. I want to deliver to you all what you want. So Guardians 3 won, hence why we're talking about Guardians Volume 3. And this is such a movie that I wasn't planning on covering, that I literally saw the film today. Okay? Like,
and you
this
almost
afternoon.
made pee in your pantaloons.
Hey, oh, yes. Yes. Do I got to talk about that? Do I got to mention
You
about
said you were going to mention it. That's why I was giving you the lead.
You son of a bitch. All right, so I did. I almost did. So there's some movie theater etiquette that most people, I think, need to follow when they go to the movie. One, don't ever fucking talk. Get off your cell phone too. Okay. There have been multiple times that I've gone to movies and I've seen people on their cell phone. And maybe this is old man yelling at the sky. I don't care. But I'm just telling you, be a decent human being. Get off your fucking phone. You're in the movies. All right. Even if it's boring, okay, just stick around and watch the damn movie. Now, what I had done was I went against my own movie rules, okay, because I hate having to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of a movie. John, what about you? Do you think you hate that when that happens?
Oh, yeah. I always get some variation of the large drink, so it happens to me more than I'd like to admit.
Yeah, I really, really hate that. I hate it when it happens. So I usually will get kind of like a medium to a small, not a small, but like a medium drink. Or if I'm, I'll usually get like, even like the icy, because I always go to the waterfront because I'm an AMC Stubbs member. Okay. So
quick plug.
AMC, give me your money. 100,000 downloads ain't gonna buy itself, okay? So anyway, I went against my own rules today, and prior to going to the movies, I was like, I'm gonna go get the large water, and maybe it was because of the fact that it's been like balls hot outside the past couple days in Pittsburgh, but I was like, I need a large water, so I got the large water, and sure enough, I didn't realize and this is my own stupidity, that the movie's 2.5 hours long. And with a 2.5 hour long movie, the large water is going to go right through you. And sure enough, I made it right towards the climax when they're, attacking the giant, spaceship and rescuing animals and children. And I was like, this is going to be the time.
Yeah.
What was that?
Spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, spoilers. This movie's been out for about a month, so it's fine. But yeah, I was like, okay, this is the moment, because I know there's gonna be a lot of action shit, and we're not at the point yet where they're gonna have like the final like battle. Okay, so like, if I'm gonna miss anything, it's gonna be right here. And randomly, the only problem is an AMC Waterfront. I don't know if you're listening. I doubt it. Why is your bathroom so far away from the screenings?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Okay, it's not just me then.
Yeah, especially if you're one like towards the end of the hall and you got to almost go right to where concessions is just to use the bathroom. What the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, the women's restroom was right over there, and I'm like, why is that one closer? But then on the same, it's on the same wall. But sure enough, like the men's restroom, it's all the way at the end by the concession stand. So I literally was like walking over. It's like, God, I'm gonna miss all this shit. Took a piss. It was a glorious piss because of the fact that, you unleashing like, a torrent of water, but then ran back. And by the time I got back, I'm like, okay, he's rescuing animals. I didn't miss much. So yeah, that was my experience. And because of that, like I told John, he was like, oh, well, it's fresh in your mind. I'm like, not really, because about halfway through, that's when the body was going, you need to pee, but you're not going to. So your desire to watch the movie and urinate at the same time are in conflict. Probably more information than anyone wanted to know about.
Well, speaking
this.
of pee, the first big theater that Erie, where roughly where I'm from, got was the Cinemark Tinseltown, and the first movie I ever saw there was Independence Day. So that,
God,
we're going back a ways now.
Yeah, going
and
back.
Like
that's 96.
I was like 12, and I was like, I had never seen such a large soda in my life, so I had to have it, being a sugar junkie. And I had to piss so bad during that movie, but I held it through the whole movie, to the point where when I stood up at the end of the movie, I couldn't stand up straight. That's how bad I had to pee.
You did the old man.
I was like an old man. Yeah, lurch. I was like crunched over.
Well, that's either the old man lurch or that's the I have a boner but don't want to show it move.
Right. Yeah.
It's like when you're in high school. When you're in high school and like you pop one and you're just like, oh God, I don't want to show this. I have to walk to the next class. So your old man lurched over.
See, that's why you got to have the untucked shirt, because like back in those days, you could just get a boner for nothing. Like you hear a locker door closed and you get an erection. You're like, why, body?
That's very confusing, body. Why are we doing this, body?
It's like, I just wanted to give you a boner for shits and giggles.
Or you see the sloppy joes and you're just like, boom, there you go. That caused why? Anyway, talk about the movie. So I went into this movie kind of cold. I hadn't really been paying attention too much to it, and maybe that was just because of Marvel fatigue. I mean, that for me at least, that's kind of how it was. Like it was just pure Marvel fatigue. John, what about you? What were your expectations for Guardians 3?
I was hoping that it would be good, and I mean, I guess I could just say this up front. Like, this is the first time that I've been impressed by a Marvel movie, and I don't remember how long since maybe Endgame. I don't know. It's like
you and I both like Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Well, see, I think of two of No Way Home, and I'm like, did I really like that, or did I just like seeing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire? I clapped when I saw them, but
I mean, like the way I look at it is that's still fun. Like that, I think that's the last time I can remember expectations meeting reality and like giving you that like good lift. Now maybe that was caused because of the fact that, we're seeing, vintage Spider-Man on screen for the first time in years, but I thought it was still a good story. I thought the ending made sense to that one. And I think we've gotten to the point now with Marvel movies where we're expecting Marvel to just start killing off people. Like even with this one, I was expecting total people to be dead. But like with Spider-Man,
Marvel can't kill anybody. Yeah.
Well, no, but you know what I mean. Like ever since Endgame, where we're killing off Tony Stark and we're killing off Gamora, and we're killing off all these people. It's just kind of like you're almost like expecting a death to happen. And especially with this one, because we know a little bit about behind the scenes of this one, and pretty much everyone in this has said, we're fucking done. Even Batista has been like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. I'm jumping ship to DC. But ever since that, we know the behind the scenes stuff. So it's like, you're expecting them to just start killing off. But to answer your question, like, I do think that, No Way Home was probably like the last time that you had like a good feeling from a Marvel movie. And you weren't just like trying to parse out things like with Doctor Strange, Multiverse Madness. Like you and I both said like, well, this is like a Sam Raimi movie. So that's why we're cool with it.
Yeah. So yeah, with James Gunn, manning the ship here with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I was excited for that, especially since we've had some real stinkers out there, and I do think that Ant Man,
you mean like
Quantumania, yeah, whatever, was like one of the worst movies I've seen out of this
okay
franchise.
To be fair, we both said this on our show, okay, when that came out, that we think people took that one a little bit too seriously, instead of just seeing it as a dumb fucking Ant-Man movie with comedic elements.
Well, I think this movie was a dumb tree and raccoon movie, but it was good.
It was good. It was good. I mean, to that credit, I think it's been one of those things that Marvel has been so fucking hit and miss that we're so beaten down that we don't know what we're gonna get. And I think it's one of those things where we're now in this mindset where we are almost pessimistic about every single Marvel property that comes out. Like during the screening I went to, they had a trailer for The Marvels.
Oh God, yeah. That looks so terrible.
I mean, I didn't hate it. Like, I liked Ms. Marvel when I saw the series. I thought it was interesting that it went into a bit about a different culture rather than white superhero. Because that's kind of
do I need to see that before I see this movie?
I don't think you have to. Like, that helps. I think it definitely helps. And I mean, it really does go into a lot of Islamic culture in tying to Kamala Khan that I think is interesting. It fleshes out that character a bit more. But at the same time, I know that they made that one purely for like teens. And I'm okay with that because that's just what they did. But I think it would help watching that just so that you know who this teenager is who is screaming every 5 seconds. Because that was what that trailer was. It was like literally her screaming every 5 seconds. Oh my God, are we a team? Are we teaming up? No, we're not teaming up. Oh my God. It's like, you're going to make this really grating, aren't you? That's kind of where I thought of it. But I think like because of that, we're all like programmed now to be extremely pessimistic about any Marvel film that comes out in any Marvel series because we've been burned so many times that we're kind of expecting that. So like with this one, I went in going like, it's the third one. They got James Gunn back. Why did it take so long to make this one? Oh, I don't know. Because Disney fired him because of some 10-year-old tweets he apologized for multiple times, which is why this took so long. But I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. I had fun. And I thought it was actually probably the most mature Guardians movie in all three of them.
I was very surprised that it was about Rocket. I didn't see that coming.
No, I mean, I knew that he was going to play a bigger part in this, just from seeing the trailers for it. And also like a lot of the chatter being like, he's going to die in this one. Like, again, everyone was expecting like all the Guardians in this thing to die because they all were, saying vocally if they were done. But
amazing if right at the end of the movie, just a bunch of asteroids just came down and killed them all, like in the last frame.
Yeah. But I mean, everyone pretty much was like, yeah, they're going to be dead, or Rocket's going to die and Groot's going to die. And everyone's like, oh, we just want all these characters to die. And, spoiler alert, that didn't happen at all, honestly. And I thought it was the best way to do it. I think people would be really like pissed off if these characters that you really care about and really like just kind of die. But with Rocket, I felt that it was smart to go that route, because he's the only character that really, his backstory is not really being explored at all, and they hinted it in the beginning, in the first movie, like when they're in in jail by the Nova Corps, and they're talking about Rocket, and they're saying like he's had all sorts of weird modifications done to him. It's left ambiguous of how he got that way, so it just makes sense that the bulk of this movie is about his history. How did he get that way? And we find out that honestly, he is so unique that the main villain of this, which I thought it was a very good villain to have in this, is desperately after him, and it kind of generates the whole crux of the thing.
Rocket Raccoon, who sat in his cage only to get Inquisitor's rage.
Inquisitors.
Don't sue me, Paul McCartney.
Yeah, seriously.
I did feel that the villain in this really went to the Leonardo DiCaprio school of screaming, though. Just, if I scream my lines, I'll be a good actor.
Well, what it was, what was nice about it was like, I think we're because of Thanos, and even Loki and all these, we're used to these very stoic villains that are just like, here's my master plan, and I'm in total control, and I've done this for decades. And so you get a guy in what's his character's name? It's not the Supreme Intellect. It's some
the Grand Inquisitor.
No, he's the High Evolutionary. That's
the High
his character.
Yeah,
the High Evolutionary, and he's a scientist, but he's an unhinged scientist that quite literally is like, he clearly is extremely intelligent, but his desire for Rocket honestly gets in the way of his own intelligence at times. And that's something that I don't think we've really seen in these Marvel films, where the villain is even like, you have people who are even like in league with the villain, just saying like, you're fucking nuts, dude. You're going to get us all killed. And you don't really see that. It was nice to see that.
Yeah, this reminded me of like the island of Dr. Moreau.
Are you getting that because of Wikipedia?
Oh, no.
It's all
Wikipedia. I got those vibes,
well, Gunn actually said, and I am saying this because it is on Wikipedia, that he said that the High Evolutionary is a space version of Dr. Moreau. So he is thinking in that, which you could totally get with this.
Go me. Yeah. All right. But it's funny because I feel like the heart of this movie is all the backstory of Rocket.
Yeah.
Because I feel that like if you only saw the race to save Rocket, you'd be like, this movie's kind of average at best. It's just kind of a hurry up and run kind of movie. But yeah, I think the heart and soul lies in how Rocket came to be, and it's like all of his adorable friends who we've never seen again. So I'm sure it's gonna end well for them.
It doesn't. It doesn't end well at all. So do we want to kind of take this one from the beginning, or do we thinking we want to like kind of give little pieces away here or there? Or I think it's worth kind of going through kind of where our characters were started off at, and kind of where they end up at. So at the start of this movie, we find our heroes are now living inside of Nowhere, which is the head of an old celestial that's dead. And if you didn't know that, then shame on you, because you did not watch the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, which laid this completely out.
which I did because like
I did too. I thought it was funny.
I was thinking to myself like for a minute, I was like, wait, where the fuck did they get an iPod? I'm like, oh wait, I think that was in the Christmas special.
It was Zune.
Yeah,
it was Zune, not an iPod. Excuse me.
Yeah,
but yeah, so all of our characters are living inside of this skull, and everything seems great. And then, Rocket's kind of, he's there. Peter Quill is in a drunken stupor because he's still hung up on his dead girlfriend who's not actually dead.
It was never really his girlfriend.
No.
Yeah, I'm getting real like Logan Jean Grey vibes. It's like, dude,
Wolverine. No, that was his girlfriend.
At the end of part 2, they weren't really dating to me.
Yeah, they kind of were. And there's a lot that happens between that one. And, we get Avengers Endgame, and there's a lot there. And they just never showed it. That's the key there. It's up to us, the audience, to interpret that as, oh yeah, they're totally dating. But I actually thought that there was going to be an issue where Nebula and Quill were going to have some sort of relationship, because it feels very much, and they kind of like play tongue in cheek to it towards the beginning of this movie, where it feels very much like Nebula's become kind of like someone who's taking care of Quill because he's in such a depressed state. And a lot of those attributes that, he did like in Nebula, in Gamora, excuse me, are kind of in Nebula now. So I was kind of expecting to go down that route, and I was surprised it didn't.
Well, yeah, and he should have just wait till you see what Thanos did to Revolva.
Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ. Horrible.
It's like a love garbage disposal.
Oh, yeah, you went there, didn't you? You son of a bitch. So while this is all going on, Quill's drunk and everything else like that, we get our appearance by Adam Warlock.
Which for me, I don't usually sit for the post-credit sequences. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize they introduced this character, and then we got to pay that off.
They had to. They totally had to, because that was right at the end of volume 2. You got the Sovereign showing that she's building, the Adam Warlock, and apparently, like, I thought he was just coming to like kill them because the fact that the events that occurred in part 2, but no. Adam is on a mission to steal Rocket. While all this is going on, Rocket gets wounded. Drax gets shot in the chest and back at the same time, of course they do this in slow-mo. And I'm like, oh, are we fucking killing off Drax like in the first 10 minutes? Is that what we're doing?
Big Dave got his paycheck and he's out. He's out.
But seriously, I was like, are we done? Is he done? Are we done now? But no, he's not dead, because again, they're not. Then it's not like that. But clearly Quill is unable to do anything because he's still drunk off his ass. And this just kind of adds his depression. And while this is going on, they're able to stop Adam Warlock. He gets stabbed in the chest by Nebula with her very fancy new arm. What's your thoughts on her fancy arm?
It was a fancy arm. I don't know.
Kind of Deus Ex Machina.
I don't necessarily. Yeah, I just
kind of a Deus Ex Machina.
As far as I'm concerned, she always had it, because I can't keep track of all this stuff. Like,
she never had that fancy arm. It never was like a nanotech shit. It was just like, oh look, my arm became fancy. Now it turns into a gun, and now it turns into a knife, and a dildo, or
Peter. But no, see, it's like, well, every movie Iron Man got like some kind of new thing.
Yes.
I think by like Endgame, he could just turn his like hoodie into the Iron Man outfit. I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like, nanobots or something.
Well, it would be something like he's wearing like a backwards cap, and he just all the sorts of nanobot shit flies up.
So I don't mind that. It's just probably they have lives when we're not watching them.
That's right. Because I told you, like there was lives when we're not watching them. Gamora was in a relationship with Peter, supposedly.
Maybe, possibly, kind of, sort of.
Possibly. Or is just creepily after a green girl. I mean, it's whatever, it's he could be the space incel if you want to. But anyway, Adam Warlock gets stabbed in the chest. He, then skirts back over to somewhere. And while all this is going on, Rocket seriously gets like crazy injured. And again, you're thinking like, fuck, we're killing Rocket off right now. But no, they put one of these med pack things that's supposed to like instantly cure you. And it triggers kind of like this kill switch inside of Rocket's heart. And they discover that because he's had all these augmentations done to him, that whoever did the augmentations had put a kill switch on his heart in case anyone were to ever like open him up or do any sort of surgery or remove any of those things. So this kind of is the inciting incident, if you will, to kick us off on the whole movie, because they decide they're going to go to OrgoCorp, which is the corporation that built Rocket and kind of did all of this, and go to the corporation to try to see if they can find like this kill switch key, basically a password, to stop the kill switch killing Rocket, basically. And they have 48 hours.
The old ticking clock.
The old ticking clock in the ticker, so to speak. Now, all this is going on, this is where we're getting kind of our first little flashbacks. And that's honestly how a lot of Rocket's story is told, is through these flashbacks, where we see him getting picked, literally a giant hand picking him up, and then putting all of these mechanical implants on him. And then just kind of seeing this relationship progress from, being turned into, anthropomorphic raccoon, to really realizing that all of those dreams that he may have had with his friends, with, being able to go out in the world and all that, are really not going to happen. And that kind of causes him to become the Rocket Raccoon that we know.
And of course, his adorable fucking friends.
His adorable friends, also known as rejects from Toy Story. Because they very much reminds
Sid's bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah. Sid's bedroom right there. Yeah. You've got walrus teeth with his eyes literally pinched open like it's nightmare fuel. His best friend, Layla, who's like, what kind of, like, what is, I'm not a squirrel, but, I don't know. It's otter. It's an otter.
Okay. Yeah.
It's an otter with like robot arms. And then there's a bunny rabbit that has like creepy metal spider legs. And they're all buddies inside of this like caged hell. So, that's the flashback scenes we keep getting through this. What are your thoughts on Rocket's pen pals?
I mean, I liked it. I mean, like, as a grown man, I could see it was just telegraphed to like break our hearts.
Oh yeah, totally.
And that kind of explains why Rocket is so like jaded and sneaky and everything, and hard to trust, or hard for him to trust others. But I have a feeling that like little kids that go see this is gonna fucking devastate them. Like, you'll see something on social media where it's like, this is when like my childhood got really fucked up, and it's a scene from a particular type of movie. I think that in the future, people are going to be saying that about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 when Rocket is screaming in abject horror over the murder of his friends.
I mean, when that scene occurred, and we're kind of jumping around a little bit here, but when that scene occurred, I was like kind of welling up a little, like, man, that's like they hurt the feels right here. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm glad I didn't bring my daughter to this.
Yeah.
Because she would have been terrified by that, by like, oh yes, your otter friend Layla got shot. And then all of Rocket's buddies get shot in front of him. And so what does he do? He decides to rip off the high evolutionary's face and then scream in abject terror.
Yeah, which
family film.
Yeah. And then that guy ends up becoming RoboCop.
He seriously does.
When he puts his face back on.
He does. So back with our crew, they get to OrgoCorp, And OrgoCorp literally is a very bizarro living satellite. Like, wouldn't you describe it as that? Like, it's a living it literally looks like it's made out of sinew and jizz.
Which is basically what we're all made of.
We're all made of sinew and jizz.
Well, the males listening, you know.
You're playing to our audience, huh? So while this is all going on, the Ravagers, run by Rocky Balboa, show up. Because he was there in the last one, and we got to show him. And along with the Ravagers, are, I guess we could call her alternate Gamora, or
different
nice
timeline
one.
Gamora.
Yeah, different timeline Gamora shows up, and clearly Peter's not too happy about this, and he's talking to Nebula like, what the fuck? Why wouldn't you let me know? It's like, well, dude, you've been literally depressed for the past couple months because of this shit. So I'm not gonna tell you crap. Yeah. So Gamora decides to help them in the just I don't care way possible. Mainly doing it because she wants to steal all of the crap that's in OrgoCorp, because apparently OrgoCorp has like tons of bioweapons and biomechanical crap, because the High Evolutionary is the one who runs OrgoCorp. Are you following me yet? It's a lot here.
Well, I really feel that the makers of Infinity War really fucking screwed James Gunn over when they're like, we're just gonna kill Gamora.
I mean,
he's probably was sitting there like, what?
Well,
no, I'm not done yet.
Well, I mean, this was around the time when James Gunn was fired. So
a bunch of Republicans used bad jokes against him.
Yes, they used his decade-old jokes that he had apologized for already against him. And that's why this movie took so long, is because Disney fired him, because heaven forbid, you make a joke that you knew was wrong at the time, you apologize for it, and then it comes back and bites you in the ass, because heaven forbid you speak out about fascism. Again, I don't want to get into politics in this one because I know that our listeners don't like it. But that's what happened. And, that's why it took so long. And they eventually hired him back because, well, I don't know, all of your actors that were in the movie decided they weren't going to do the movie unless you hired James Gunn back.
Well, I think a lot, like somebody like Chris Pratt was like, I'm very disappointed and I might not do the movie. But Batista was just like, fuck you. If you don't bring him back, you can eat my gigantic dick.
Yeah. No, Chris Pratt did that. But I mean, even the other actors on that were just like, yeah, I'm not doing it without James Gunn back on. And sure enough, they got back on. But anyway, getting back to the movie, Ravagers show up. Gamora gives them some like costumes to wear to blend in with the workers of OrgoCorp. And they infiltrate in. And I gotta say this, like, one of the things that I love about this movie is the dialogue in it. Like the back and forth dialogue between certain characters. I think that's the one thing. And like in these scenes where they're in OrgoCorp and you get Mantis arguing with Drax, Mantis arguing with also Gamora, because Mantis decides she's going to throw their spacesuits into a like junk bin that then spits out into space, and we get this glorious scene where Nathan Fillion comes in and he's clearly looking at them, and Mantis is looking out the window and you see spacesuits just floating, and then you get this back and forth arguments between them, and I love it because it doesn't feel forced. And that was a problem I had with part 2, and that's been a problem I've had with a lot of the dialogue in the Avengers films too, is that the comedy felt forced at times.
That's the problem I have with every Thor movie.
I know, but like the dialogue you get in these movies always has felt forced ever since we got the Avengers. You remember that there literally was a time where everything was a Whedon quip.
Oh, right? Yeah. Look how clever I am by Joss Whedon.
Yeah. Yes.
Also known as the Avengers. Yeah.
Also known as the Avengers. But we kind of got away from that. And then everyone went to this like Taika Waititi type of humor. And that's where you got the Thor stuff. But with the last one, with Volume 2, I felt like it was just humor for humor's sake and didn't really add anything to it. But I liked the fact that in Volume 3, those moments of humor and especially within the dialogue, they were earned and they just felt like it made sense.
Yeah, and dramatic scenes weren't just cut down by humor like they were in the second movie.
Yeah.
It felt like James Gunn didn't want you to feel anything for too long before, like, a fart joke would happen.
Yes.
In this one, it wasn't like when the villain kills like all of Rocket's friends, it doesn't cut to him and goes, "Did I do that?"
Yeah.
Urkel style. We're allowed to feel something for a minute on that.
But I remember when we were talking about part 2 that we even said like Drax was annoying as all fuck in part 2 because he was just like a comedic punchline.
Yeah.
Every single time. And in this one, he was clearly funny. Like he had some hilarious moments in this. Like say what you will about Batista's acting ability. I think the man is fucking hilarious. And like the Zagnut scene where he's offering Quill the Zagnuts and then they're in the elevator and Mantis is like, I would have liked a Zagnut. And he's like, they're all gone. And then he eats one. I was in theater laughing. I'm like, fucking asshole. But it just felt like I love the chemistry that Mantis and Drax have, especially they seem like brother and sister just fighting with each other on a daily basis. And that play off of one another was really good. But especially in these scenes when you're in OrgaCorp, you really see that stuff happen. I even liked Quill in this, which if there's a weak link in this movie, I think it's kind of him because he's done this a bunch.
Super Mario.
Yeah.
Not him.
But and well, it's just like, where do you go from here? Right. Like every movie has been him at the forefront. Part 1 was the Guardians coming together and you find out like, he's, got part celestial DNA in him and all that shit. And part 2 is, let's see who his daddy is. And surprise, it's Kurt Russell. And this one, I was like, okay, are we going to be just on about the whole Gamora shit the whole time? And it wasn't. But like, even he was doing well. I do think he was the weakest link out of the whole film. But even his little one-liners he had, like when he goes up to the secretary and is like, my name is Patrick Swayze. And she's like, he's trying to like, sweet talk her, and Gamora then shows up and says, yeah, that wasn't working. I'm just going to pull out a gun instead. Those sorts of things I thought were funny and really made the movie, pretty well, in my opinion.
It does seem, I know the movie's called The Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's supposed to be about all of them, but it's really been about Peter. So it was weird to kind of see him sidelined in this movie because it reminded me of like the X-Men movies, with Hugh Jackman and everything. Like it was called the X-Men, but let's be honest, it was the continuing Adventures of Wolverine.
It was absolutely continuing Adventures of Wolverine. It absolutely was that. So
for like, if Wolverine had by like X-Men Last Stand just been like, peace, I'm not going to be in most of the movie, it would have been like, what?
Yeah. So I mean, I thought that the chemistry was great, and you really saw it in these scenes. While they're in OrgaCorp, they are able to get a hold of the file and able to escape out of OrgaCorp. Of course, we find out the High Evolutionary is behind everything, and they end up going to this new Earth, as they call it, or I think he calls it like Counter Earth.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
Something along those lines. Counter Earth. And Counter Earth basically looks like Earth from 1987. And the people who occupy Counter Earth are animal people, like anthropomorphic animals.
And wait, so it looks like 1987, but there are jackasses, but this time they're real and not in Congress.
Yeah.
I'll be here. I'll be here.
Yeah. So yeah, Counter Earth, and it's a funny sequence, like the whole sequence when they encounter the vampire bat family. Like, did you get that those were vampire bats? And like you see all their pictures on the wall, and it's clearly like every meme from 1980s like terrible family portraits. And like that sort of stuff is hilarious. And it speaks to a different type of comedy that you get in these movies than you do in something like, say, the Thor films. Which, don't get me wrong, like I like Ragnarok. I know, John, you hated it. And we both were kind of like meh on Love and Thunder. But it's very different. Like, it's a very tongue-in-cheek type of humor, very similar to Peacemaker in my mind. I'd imagine that Peacemaker had a lot of influence on this particular film.
And I imagine that they were talking about the budget of everything, and they're like, so they're going to go on to this planet that's kind of a live sentient being, and it's going to be all crazy and all CGI. And they're like, how much is that going to cost us? Like, a fuck ton of money. And then we got this other idea where they go to this planet and it's this crazy planet. And like, no, it's going to be Earth. But no, it can't be Earth because there's animal people. It's like Earth 2. That'll save us a boatload of money.
Yeah. Earth 2, and the people are animals.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll get our budget back in place.
That'll get our budget back. So while on Earth 2, you know, it basically becomes a matter of the Guardians get separated, and that's honestly what a lot of these movies have done. Is the Guardians get separated and they have to like rejoin each other. So, you know, Quill and Groot and Nebula go to see the High Evolution because his like main base is on Counter Earth, and they go there, you know, have this back and forth thing where he keeps getting told that it's a trap, and Quill, being an idiot, says, "I know it's a trap. It's a face-off." Like, oh, okay, dude. Like, but you're still walking into the trap, right? Like,
he's still stupid.
You're still stupid. but yeah. So, you know, they end up going to see the High Evolutionary, and yes, the High Evolutionary very much looks like RoboCop without the helmet. Yeah, like complete total RoboCop ripoff.
Like third act RoboCop when he's like trying to shoot the baby food. You know, he's got the helmet off.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. He's not shooting the baby food. He eats the baby food.
I thought he was also shooting it for, or is he shooting cans?
He's shooting cans. He's not shooting the baby food.
I've only seen the movie 300 times. You think I'd remember?
Only 300? Come on, man. I every once in a while go down a rabbit hole on YouTube where, like, this happened recently, where I was looking up the clips from RoboCop with Clarence Boddicker in it. He's just like, it starts with the bitches leave, and then it goes into the ending scene where he crashes into the toxic waste guy who literally just obliterates to liquid. And those are cool. And then it ends with Dick Jones. And then it ends with the Dick Jones scene at the end where, you know, RoboCop says, "Dick Jones is wanted for murder. My prime directive will not allow me to arrest an officer of this company."
Very, very quick sidebar. When RoboCop 2 came out, I remember my buddy and I were talking about that years later. He's like, "Oh man, I wanted to try Nuke so bad." And I'm like, I think you missed the entire message of that movie.
That is not the message. You do not want to try Nuke. At all.
Nuke.
Nuke. What were we talking about? Oh, Guardians 3.
Oh,
so yeah. We meet the High Evolutionary, and he's kind of, RoboCop-esque. He still wants Rocket because here's the thing, and this we want to know the question: why does this RoboCop motherfucker want Rocket so bad? Well, it turns out that despite the fact that this guy is a super genius on steroids, with a little bit of a megalomaniacal complex, he, every one of his creatures he's made has not been able to be inventive and actually use their intelligence to create new things. It's always a matter of memorization, as he says it, but not able to create things from inspiration. And Rocket is the only being he's ever created who can do it. So the reason why the High Evolutionary is after him is he wants his brain so that he can take that aspect and give it to all of his other creatures, because he's got plenty of creatures, so many creatures. Which I get that. It makes sense to me, because Rocket's always been that type of character. He's always been one to take like scraps of crap and just turn it into a giant missile or weapon or bomb or some shit. So it makes sense in universe. John, what do you think?
What doesn't make sense to me in this universe is like, why? I mean, I guess you want to try every animal to see how the evolution, whatever he's doing to them, like how their intellect would change. But what is a walrus going to do for you? It doesn't have hands. It's bulbous as fuck. I think you would just want to do like silverback gorillas, wouldn't you? Because they're like fairly human-esque as it is. Like,
I guess so. I guess so, but I'm not a crazy RoboCop-esque villain, so I don't know what his motivations for picking a walrus that he then decides that I don't think the walrus needs to blink, so just like staple its eyes open for reasons. Yeah. It makes no sense to me. So yeah. While this is going on, they find out that and the reason why they're going to see the High Evolutionary on Counter Earth is because that kill switch that they were trying to solve the whole time. Because remember, Rocket honestly has been sidelined about 2/3 of the movie, and they get that file from OrgaCorp, and they find that it's not there, and it's because it's inside some minion's head that works for the High Evolutionary. So that's why they're going after him on Counter Earth. Long story short, Quill he escapes by jumping out of a window. Which, like, he's a human being. Like, say what you will, the man's a human being. He just says, "I'm going to save the day. Jump out the window." But I got Groot.
There's a lot of goofiness in these movies. Like, just like, I'm just there for the ride,
Well, what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that scene in The Other Guys where The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson.
No, Samuel Jackson. Yeah.
They decide like they're gonna jump out of a building, all action movie style. And I don't just crash into the floor and die.
There have been very few things that I've laughed that hard at in a movie. When they just hit and blood's everywhere.
Yes.
I could not stop laughing.
They're like, "What do you think, man? You think we can make it?" "Yeah, I think
aim for the bushes.
Aim for the bushes, man." Boom. And like that scene where when Quill jumps out, I totally was like, in another movie, he'd be totally dead. But
for some reason, his larger than life, like, things that he doesn't bother me in this movie, even though he's a human, in a way that like Black Widow is. I think because Guardians of the Galaxy like is so fantastical.
Yeah.
Black Widow was so grounded that like when Black Widow would get in a horrific car accident, I'm like, well, she's dead. But no, she would just get out and dust her shoulders off. Adjust her bra.
Adjust her bra. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess when you're surrounded by fantastical elements, jumping out of a window that's, I don't know, like 3 miles up is nothing. But he survives because apparently one of Groot's powers is that he can turn into anything now. Like, I mean, I guess that's cool. I just didn't know he can turn to anything. But he
can turn into a plot convenience.
He can turn into a plot convenience because that's what he is in this movie. You want some wings? Boom. Groot's got you. You want me to hold all your guns? I got you too, because no one's going to scan Groot at all. Like, they scanned Quill. They're not going to scan the giant tree creature. Whatever. So
he like sees Gamora changing. I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Put that
Holy
thing
crap,
away, man. Whoa. Talk about getting wood.
Yeah. So they escape. Great. But unfortunately, our other characters, the other Guardians, decided that it would be a good idea to go after Quill. So they're on the ship that is leaving because the High Evolutionary thinks he's got Rocket because he sent one of his goons to the ship to get him. He says he's got him. So he's going to blow up Counter Earth. And the one criticism I have of this movie is how flippant they are with that. Like, didn't you think it was a little weird that they destroyed a whole planet, like literally just massacred the entire population of a planet, and no one cares?
They don't want you to think too hard, Brian.
I know they don't want me to think that hard, and that's why they immediately jump to like the climax of the movie. But I just felt like we're not even going to talk about the fact that this guy literally like destroyed a whole planet.
Well, we didn't think much of it when, Darth Vader and Tarkin did it to, Tatooine.
You still had a moment where you had Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, I just heard billions of people cry out in agony.
Yeah.
And they're silenced. But we don't get anything of that.
Yeah.
We don't get anything of that. So yeah. This leads us to
Brian, we have to get to our next music video.
Yes. Okay. That is one thing we do. I got to talk about. What's your thoughts on every 5 minutes there being a popular music piece in this?
It's cheap, but it works. It's
Explain.
like it's like a fart joke. Like, it may be really, really immature and simplistic to do, but if you laugh, it works. So it gets you all the nostalgic feels of like, I remember this song, and cutting anything to music is going to like get people jazzed up. So I think it's a very cheap tactic, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't work like gold. And I'm sure Disney's not crying in their soup over those, album sales that are going to come from this.
Well,
too.
I mean, that was what I was going to say was, how expensive is it to make a movie when you are throwing in popular songs like that every 5 minutes? Like, I don't think people understand that when you put popular music into a movie, this goes for any studio, you have to pay the licensing fees for that.
Well, remember like the Batman Forever soundtrack? Even people that like, I hated that movie. It's like, what about the album? Oh, that was tight.
Yeah, I have the album. I have the album. Totally.
So I think they more than paid for it off the CD sales for that, and I'm sure Guardians did too.
I guess so. I just
streaming, buying,
streaming. Yeah, the CD sale
off the 8-tracks,
off the 8-tracks there, the cassette. You guys got a cassette, right?
You got your Walkman.
I had a Walkman. But anyway, yeah,
us old people.
I thought the music was distracting. Like, it made sense in the first two, especially the first one. The first one really used the music well, I thought, and it made sense for that movie. But like, I think it was a little too much, where we're getting a classic song every single time. Every single scene had that. And it was in the moments where you actually get the theme from the Guardians of the Galaxy that pops in, that's what sticks out to me. And that shouldn't be the case. Right?
Oh yeah. If I think about it analytically, then yes, I'm with you. It's pretty shameless. But
yeah,
but James Gunn knows how to play with your emotions.
He does know how to jump between the diegetic and non-diegetic sound. Like, and when we are seeing those moments, usually it's on a loudspeaker, it's on someone's headphones, and then it kind of jumps back and forth. So yeah, from a filmmaking standpoint, it is well done. It's not just thrown in there and you're just expecting it's there. It's not like Baby Driver, which you said you didn't like that was there, but but I felt that it at times got a little distracting for me.
That's more than fair. Yeah.
More than fair. So after this, what happens next? Oh yeah. So
a lot really quickly.
A lot really quickly. Yeah. Basically, to wrap up this movie, because there's a lot to it. Rocket gets revived. Well, one, he nearly dies. Like, he nearly dies because the kill switch that has been trying to kill him. They're not able to download the code that they get from one of those minions' heads fast enough. And you get this very touching moment where, you're in this near-death like world where Rocket sees all of his dead friends, the animal crew, if you will. And you get that classic moment where, he wants to go with them, which means he wants to die. And one of them says, nope, you can't do it yet. You're not ready. Is it cliche? 100%. Does it work for this movie? Absolutely.
Yes. For those who are not watching the video form of this, I just shook my head in agreement.
You just shook your head because you're just like,
yeah.
Yep. Have we seen it 1,000 times over? 100% we have. I can't remember how many times I've seen this whole thing play out. But given the progression of this film, where we see that relationship, how important those characters were to Rocket, you have to have that there. And I'm sure James Gunn's going like, yeah, it's cliche, but it works. And when it works, it works. So yeah, do I think you could cut it out? No, I don't think you can. Plus, it also gives us that moment where, you then have things that you could put in the trailer, like Peter Quill crying over Rocket's dead body, so that you can make people think that Rocket's going to die.
Yeah. Well, and it wraps up the whole backstory of,
yes,
him with his, it puts a nice little bow.
It's a
nice bow on there.
It is a nice little bow. So he's not dead. He wakes back up. And now our other half of the crew, Rocket, alternate Gamora, and Peter decide they're going to go rescue our other half that are still trapped on the spaceship with the High Evolutionary. And they decide they're going to call in their friends from nowhere to help them out. And we haven't really mentioned too much about the people who are in nowhere, but we want to talk a little bit about the different characters we got. We've got Laika the dog, which she's a scene stealer, if anything else.
That's voiced by Borat's daughter.
Is
I can't
it?
remember her name. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, I apologize to you, dear actress. I can't remember your name, but yeah.
Yeah,
she does.
Laika the dog was hilarious in this because I wasn't sure. I'd seen in the trailer that she was in it, but I was like, what are they going to do with the dog? But the whole time, she's trying to get Sean Gunn's Kraglin's character, Kraglin, to say that she's a good dog.
Retract your bad dog.
Retract your bad dog thing. And Kraglin's struggling. He's got erectile dysfunction with Yondu's like whistling arrow thing. He can't master it. And apparently Laika has telekinetic powers. Which, okay, like I'm not complaining against that at all. Makes sense for the movie. But yeah, Peter's able to get them to take the whole and giant head into battle. Because why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Why not at this point? And what ends up becoming is kind of this mad dash of, rescue the Guardians, rescue the children that are on board because the High Evolutionary wants to, make his new people. And these new people are basically, Aryan looking children that have the emotional maturity of Drax, which is why Drax is like loved by them.
Well, and that was kind of a nice like wrap up for him because, he lost his child to Thanos and, so for him to be able to like be the one that can save these kids.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he's just like a big, dumb comedic idiot who screws everything up.
And in the second one, he was very much that, a big, dumb comedic idiot that screwed everything up and just yelled and laughed a whole lot.
So I will say, like, by the time we do get to the end of this movie, like, and just in terms of screenwriting 101, everybody had an arc and had a conclusion to their story. It wasn't that nobody was just there to be there. Everyone, had that came full circle, so to speak. So, and that's just competent writing. And you don't always get that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you do get that. And it ends it on a positive note, I felt. Which again, like I really thought that they were going to kill off them. I thought they were
somebody.
I thought someone's fucking dead. Because maybe that's because of just the pessimistic nature when it comes to these things. But I really thought someone's fucking dead, you know. But that doesn't happen at all. The high evolutionary loses his shit, gets killed, and blown up. You find out his face is just a mask, which I gotta tell you, that was wild.
Yeah, that was an upsetting.
That
scene.
was,
like, hey, Sam Raimi pop in direct this?
Yeah. Because I totally was like, they're take his face off. Holy crap! Because like you see that in the past, Rocket had attacked his face and like was scratching at it. But I never thought it was that intense. Degree.
Yeah.
But no, he's like missing a nose. His whole lips are ripped off. Like it's really gnarly. What they did to him. And, you know, even Rocket's like, yeah, he's wearing a mask. They take the mask off and you see that gnarled face.
His face fell off.
It looks like his face fell off. But yeah, so they end up saving everybody. Quill is the one character you think is going to die, which I'm sorry, he should have fucking died.
Well, I mean, it did give what's his face, who was forced into this movie at the beginning, to be
Adam
redeemed.
Warlock.
Yeah, Adam Warlock to be redeemed. Because this whole franchise kind of reminds me of the Fast and the Furious franchise, where it's like, no matter how bad you were or how much shit you gave to the people, by the end of the movie, you just automatically get redeemed and join the family. Yeah,
family. I'm Groot. Oh, wrong Groot. Movie.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Maybe
movie.
Maybe Vin Diesel's doing rewrites in the back. You're gonna make him family.
Yeah. Quill. He ends up in outer space, freezing, and his like I figured the man was fucking dead. His head inflates. Inflate, and like I'm glad we're doing video with this one so that they can see my hands.
Flames on the side of my face.
On the side of the face. But his head inflates. And I'm just like, oh, he's fucking dead. He's got a blown up face. But no, Adam Warlock doing his best Leia Organa impression. Like pokes him with his gold finger and moves him over and gets him into like the airlock so he's not completely freezer burned. But I'm just still going like, there's no fucking way you're alive still, right? Like you're gonna have some sort of injury. No, he's fine.
Look, if a laptop, when it gets bulgy like that, like don't use that, it might explode. Like if that's true for a laptop, it's probably pretty true for a human with a brain. You know, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, but like he's fine.
It's another one, like just like Ant Man, who did die under all logic in Endgame because he got a rocket to the fucking face. But no, he's fine.
He's fine.
Got a little dirt. Got a little
dirty. Just don't think too hard. Don't think too hard. Don't think about the laws of physics.
Ant-Man eating a falafel, looking out the window like, we did it. Boom. Bomb goes off.
I always forget about that one because, like, again, any person would be dead right on the bed. But no, he's still alive.
I'm pretty sure Black Widow died 13 times in her movie. But again, just a little dirty.
Just a little dirty. She's fine. Yeah, so happy ever after. But not so much because despite now having the only time when the Guardians are all together, they all decide to disband.
Which makes perfect sense for me because I think almost all of their contracts have come up. Except
you're going to the cynic movie industry jargon.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, and, you know, the only one who maybe has a different contract because he's a voice actor is Bradley Cooper. So like, oh, we probably still have him under contract, but we'll get all these side players who are just happy to be here and happy to get a paycheck and make them the new Guardians.
Yeah. But that's in essence what happens there. Like, you know, Groot's obviously not going anywhere. Neither is Rocket, because worst case scenario, Bradley Cooper doesn't want to do it. Well, just find someone else to do his voice.
Yeah. But it's like, hey, Bradley Cooper, we'll give you $15 million to record a day's worth in your house of Rocket's dialogue. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
So,
but I don't have to put on pants.
Yeah, there you go. But any character who actually like is a human actor, they're totally are done. So like Batista, he's there, but he's like, you're like, yeah, you're not actually gonna be there. Quill decides that, you know, he's gonna finally go back to Earth. Okay.
Go see his grandfather. Yeah. Which, I mean, no, I said they all had arcs. I didn't say they were all great.
They're not. I told you, like, Peter's got the weakest arc out of all of them, I think. You know, Rocket is the strongest one because it really is about him. The movie really is about him and, you know, his coming to grips with his past. Nebula, I felt she was good in this, but she really didn't have an arc. Like, I don't think she grew from any of this. I'm
just glad they didn't put them together. It's like, oh, wouldn't it just make everybody happy if like they just fell in love, even though she's a completely different version of that character? I'm glad.
I'm talking about Nebula, not Gamora.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, what was nice about Gamora is how, you know, Quill mentions in the movie, you know, you got with the Guardians because you wanted a family. Why would you get with the Ravagers? And then there's that scene right at the end when you've got Sylvester Stallone, all the Ravagers, they welcome Gamora back, and they're all like hugging her, and you're like, well, no shit. She got her family from the Ravagers. That's her family now, this alternate version of her. And like, that was something that was nice because clearly that's what she always wanted. And she got it. It just wasn't with the Guardians this time around.
Yeah.
You know? So like for her, it totally comes full circle. Doesn't completely hate Quill 100% at the end of the movie. Groot's Groot and says words for once.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's the Silent Bob thing, right? Like,
yes, it is 100% the Silent Bob thing. Yeah. It's like you could have said words the whole time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kraglin's able to now wield his, you know, arrow. He doesn't have, you know, arrow erectile dysfunction. And Laika's a good dog.
Yes.
There you go. And that's kind of the end of the movie. You know, we're led to believe that this is the last Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know about that.
I think that it's the last true this team Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll get it with like the new squad, and depending on who they can talk into cameos, we'll like if they can get Chris Pratt to come in for a couple of days, you know, Star-Lord will be there for maybe a couple of scenes and pop out again, you know, something like that.
Or it could be a G.I. Joe scenario where you've got Star-Lord in there for like 5 minutes and then he gets killed.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever see the sequel to G.I. Joe?
I didn't see G.I. Joe.
Oh, so the sequel to G.I. Joe, which has The Rock in it, you've got the character Duke from the first movie, played by Channing Tatum. He shows up in the sequel for about 5 seconds and then gets blown up.
It's kind of like every slasher movie, like the final girl is in the next one to be killed right away.
That's immediately what happens. Yes. Like the Nightmare on Elm Street series did that all the time. But yeah, they'll get Chris Pratt in there or anyone who survived, and they'll show up and like, oh my God, the old Guardians got blown up and now the new ones have to rise because, you know,
it'll be Alien 3. It'll be like just text at the beginning of the movie. Peter Quill, deceased.
And it'll just be him going like this, you know, with his middle finger, just boom, dead. Yeah. Because, you know, that one thing I said about it's nice they didn't kill everyone off. Well, they'll make sure that they correct that in the sequel. Yeah. But no, I all in all, I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I thought it was extremely smart and way more mature than I gave this series credit.
Mature and dark, which I appreciated. You know, they went to like dark, kind of sad areas that I just didn't think Marvel actually had the guts to do.
No, I didn't. At least not. This operates on at least 2 levels, and I know we've said this before that Marvel really can't go below the surface. They just can't. When they do, it usually is it depends on it. Like we said, Wakanda Forever definitely did feel more like a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, more so than, a sequel to Black Panther. And that obviously operated on 2 different levels. But most of these movies are surface. That's it. This one felt a bit more like it did go down a couple different levels and did get dark and did get more on. I don't want to say necessarily about the whole concept of family because that was what the sequel was, the second one was, but it definitely explored a dark side of a character that we hadn't seen before with Rocket, how he became who he is, what that trauma led to, and how it shaped the character. That behind all of the jokes and the, bullshit that he does, there really is just a scared creature that went through a horrible traumatic sequence that formed him. And this is kind of him come to grips with that. So I love that sort of thing because it takes what is just goofy superhero shit and elevates it beyond just goofy superhero shit. And we need more of that.
Yeah, it's an entertaining movie that actually had a little bit of brains behind it.
A little bit.
Imagine,
yeah,
we could do that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine if Disney had held strong on their "we're going to fire James Gunn."
God, what we would have gotten. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a feeling we would have gotten more ego living planets crap.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, that wasn't bad. It just was take it or leave it. I didn't really need that, but
hey, we got Snake Plissken in the movie, so that's fine by me.
Snake Plissken, the man whore of the universe.
Yes.
Because that's all the man was doing, was fucking everything that moved to try to create a supreme being like himself. I got to say, one of the things that I didn't mention this was how James Gunn put I think it is his wife, right? Or girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're married.
I think they're married.
Pam from The Office.
And from The Office. She was also in Peacemaker, but I loved her in this when she's in OrgoCorp as like the communications officer, and she just gets shot in the leg, and just everyone's reaction is like, "Holy shit! Why did you do that?" Yeah. She's like, "You shot me in the leg." So like again, kind of speaking back to this movie was a perfect balance of comedy, along with some drama, and along with some superhero shit. And if Marvel is thinking, where do we go from here? Try to make more movies like this. I'd say you can't afford James Gunn anymore because the man now is in charge of DC.
Yeah, and that's like being like the high executive for Pepsi, but telling Coke like, I'll still work for you every once in a while. It's like, I don't know if you can.
I don't know if you can anymore because he's going to be taking the all the fun things that he did in this movie and now making DC that. Which, okay, I'm here for it, John, what are your kind of final thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Brian, I hate to just piggyback on you, but I think
that's cool. You can piggyback.
You said it perfectly. Yeah, it was what good entertainment for cinema should be.
Yeah,
it had superhero stuff because it was a superhero movie. It had comedy that like didn't seem cringy. It had good drama that wasn't like over the top. They weren't trying to be like Schindler's List or something like horribly sad. It was just good drama for that type of movie. But as I said, it had good comedy in there too. It's what good popcorn movies should be. They just usually aren't.
No, and more often than not, they're not. I mean, I saw some trailers for movies coming up, and I'm just going, oh fuck.
Yeah, including the Marvels, which I think the alternate title is.
No, it's just remember Captain Marvel and how much you either loved or hated her. Guess what? She's back.
I think this is supposed to be called like Captain Marvel 2 or something like that.
It was supposed to be called Captain Marvel 2, and it was supposed to feature just Captain Marvel, but then the backlash from
nobody likes Brie Larson.
Well, no one liked her. And I don't know what the big deal was. I liked Captain Marvel. I didn't have a problem with it. But like so many weirdos had problems with Brie Larson's like personal views on shit. And
and who cares?
Because dude, these are the same people who review bombed The Little Mermaid because they didn't like the fact that the Little Mermaid was played by a black actress. I'm not surprised by what these people do. They're just butthurt incels.
Which I saw that movie, and it starts with King Triton being like, "Oh, my daughter's from all the different 7 seas," and I'm like, "Dude, Triton's laying pipe on every bitch he's seen." Damn.
Every fish and every flounder gets a piece of Triton. Hey, you're kelp. Guess what? It's your turn tonight.
Come here, flounder.
Gross. So gross.
You're going to give me a daughter, flounder, but I'm a boy.
Gross. Oh, man. No, but I was just saying, like, I saw the trailer for Dial of Destiny and Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. And I guess they're making another. They're making another Hunger Games movie.
Oh, yeah. It's like a prequel.
It's a prequel because that's what we needed. Yeah. And I'm just going like, all of these look just ridiculous. Even Dial of Destiny, which that one, I don't think we're supposed to review that one, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not looking
we're there, dude.
I don't know. I'm not looking forward to that one.
It has to be better than Crystal Skull. It has to be. I don't see how it could be worse. I don't think it's going to be good, but I don't think it could be that bad.
I won't throw anything past them anymore because of Crystal Skull. Well, good movie, good talk, and glad that we're on video for this one. Maybe we'll do more of these, John. Maybe we'll do more. Why not? It's pretty fun. You can break out your camera next time, your fancy camera. You got a fancy camera. Yeah. So, speaking of which, where are you at on the internets?
Let's see. You can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on which one have I not said? Twitter, or you can go over onto the YouTubes and look up J-Dub's Video Nasties. For anybody wondering, yes, that's the Jeopardy music because we had to pause.
Jeopardy music. We had to pause.
But and just type in J-Dub's Video Nasties. If you like what I do here, well, if you don't, then don't go at all. It's just me. Yeah. You'll go nuts. But if you like what I do here, just get it without any hesitation or limitation over there.
Do you got any new videos coming?
I got one coming out. I've been delayed, but eventually I will have one coming out on Dirty Harry.
Nice.
Check in on the fascism of Dirty Harry.
Nice. Very cool. You can find me at Brian Cuddington on Twitter. I also run the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Psycho Show. We are also on the TikToks at Cinema Psycho Show. And every once in a while, I will post some videos there. And because we're on video today, there may be some clips pulled out of this that we'll use. You can also talk more about Guardians Volume 3 or any movies by joining our Discord channel. We have a Discord channel now. The link is in the show notes for this episode. Come hang out with us. Tell us we suck. Tell us you love our show, or just come hang out. It's really something that I'm trying to build up. So, more people I can get, the better. And honestly, like, if you get into the Discord channel, I will ask what we should be covering next there, so like you can have direct impact on what we cover. I'm totally cool with that. Aside from that, you can also contact us the old-fashioned way via email by going to cinemapsychoshow.com. And, of course, follow us, like us, wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you next time.
I personally can't wait for She-Hulk Defends the Eternals 2.